It's called December 4th Drainage Board meeting to order. Mrs. Fontenot is going to lead us in prayer, followed by the pledge.
Father, we just give you honor and glory tonight. We come bearing thanksgiving as we enter this Christmas season. We pray for our parish and the citizens who live here, that they would have a good Christmas season, that we would have good, cold weather. And Father, we pray as always for our soldiers, both men and women that are abroad, that are fighting for our protection and fighting for liberty of others. We ask that you give them a good holiday season, many cards from friends and relatives. Father, we ask that you send them and bless them with many Christmas goodies from America, Father, that they would remember their land, the one that they're fighting for. We ask you once again to bring freedom to the world and bring safety to those who protect us. And we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's have the letter be known. Mr. Shake Snyder, the only one out. Number 3 is public comment section. Anyone wanting to speak on an agenda item, please sign in. You have 3 minutes to speak. Move on to number 4, 2/3 addition. Anyone has an addition to the agenda? No additions. Number 5, acceptance of minutes of November 6, 2006.
That's the move, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion by Mr. McConnell.
Second.
Second by Mr. Savoy. Discussion? Any objections? So moved. Parish President's report. Bill, anything? Okay. We'll move on to number 7, ad hoc committee update. Mr. McConnell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ad hoc committee met, and we met after a council meeting, so it was a little bit late, but I want to say we met about 10 o'clock at night. But we did have a meeting. We came across a job description for this drainage manager that we decided to adopt. I believe copies have been sent to all of the drainage board members. If they have not, I apologize, and we'll certainly get that to you as quickly. But I think Bill did forward that, and we used those that criterion and those job description issues to go ahead and advertise for the position. We put advertisements in all of the local publications, the Gonzales Weekly, the Donaldsonville Chief, and the Ascension Citizen. We also put advertisements in the classified sections of the Baton Rouge Advocate and the New Orleans Times-Picayune. We asked that those run for a couple of weeks. As of today, it's my understanding we have had 1 application for that. We don't have a specific time. We just said we were going to run those ads for 2 weeks, but we didn't set a specific time when we were going to cut that off and have this board look at it. But obviously we want to try to get somebody in place in January. Correct. And the remainder of that we kind of put on abeyance until after this drainage board meeting to see if we had any more direction from the board. Good. But that's pretty much where we are. Has everybody received a copy of that job description? And it included the qualifications and the duties and the expectations of that job, and it also had a salary range. And I believe it was all reported in the local journals. So that's where we are at this point, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. McConnell. Any questions? We'll move on to number 8, Department of Public Works report. Mr. Bill Roof.
Mr. Chairman, if I can, I'd like to take number 9 first. We're trying to load down some things for my report, some video, and while they're still working on it, if I'm allowed to, I'd like to take number 9 and get that over with. Okay, number 9 is contract approvals and renewals for the year.
Mr. Chairman, if I'm in order, I'd like to move that we renew these contracts.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. McConnell, second by Mr. Dempsey Lambert. Discussion? Any objection? So moved.
Of course, that doesn't give Mr. Rue any more time to download
I was
his
trying to
stuff.
stall. Are you ready? Okay, we can go ahead to the to my report.
Okay.
We're going to change it up a little bit tonight. For much of my report, we do have some pictures and some video of different projects. And as soon as they can bring it up on the video. Okay, and this is the start. This is Bayou Grand North. If you see the 2 pipes coming out to your right, that's what's being replaced by some larger culverts. This is what it looks like right now, and the reason is, you see that green line at the bottom? That's a sewer line that goes down the center of the road, Bayou Grand North. We did not know about it. It wasn't discovered through the dotted when we ran it, and the utility company didn't know exactly where it was either. For this reason, we had to change plans. We were going with some box cover, single box, through that road. We had to change it because of this, and we're going with double 54-inch covers through this to give not quite the same capacity, but enough. It's at least a 20% increase off of what was there already. And we also added another cover just up the road from that, which would give additional capacity. So we feel justified and feel good with making this change, and we're able to go ahead and proceed and probably be finished with it next week.
Right.
This is the Black Bayou. Give you an indication of the type of work the DPW is doing. This is just east of Highway 44, and this is just north of or west of Highway 44. I'll give you an example of how they're dredging and or cutting these slopes to make them more efficient and better able to upkeep in the future. So this is going well right now. We're at probably about halfway between LA 44 and Germany Road. Again, proceeding real well, and it's turning to be a good project. The last heavy rain event, I think several people noticed, and as well as DPW, that the water was really coming through there at a rapid rate. And so we are doing some good, I think. This is Calcote Road. These are the box covers that we installed. We're going more and more with installing box covers in lieu of bridges because we're able to do it in-house at a much cheaper cost and a lot quicker. This is a lot more capacity than what the bridge was in the past. If this is a lateral off the Goudin, and when we need to improve it, we got plenty of area to be able to cut the ditch to come into this these culverts. We have a lot of area to expand the canal for many years in the future. This is we're coming out of Heath Bayou with our chipper, and this is going to give you, it's a video, and to give you an example of what kind of work we're doing. This again is Heath Bayou coming into Severio Canal. And again, it's a good machine, and we're doing a lot of good work with it right now. I'm going to go to the next one. Now, this is actually at the end of Heath Bayou coming into Severio Canal, and this is pretty interesting. They're still, somewhat in the marsh area, but also on the ground. And very shortly, you're going to see where it actually goes into Severio Canal and does float and able to maneuver much like a barge in the channel itself. Now, this is the first time we tried this, and I'd like to tell you that our operator is still going through therapy. but he's coming around very well. Also, our drainage manager, if you could hear the video, was very happy to see that it stayed afloat.
You got him wearing a life jacket, right, Bill?
Oh, he was. He was white knuckled through the whole thing. And you see, it's very maneuverable. You can turn it. They're just getting used to it, and and actually they went across Severia Canal, came up on a bank where it could be transported off to another location.
Could we rent that out on the weekends as a party barge, Mr. Ruin?
If they can afford it, I think we can work something out. But this is a fine machine, and we have some more. This is Geist, along Geist Road. If you notice right here, and I don't have the before picture. I think we're going to go across the road and see what it was like. On this side here, this is what the side we were just looking at was worse than this. We cleaned this area. But it's actually just a big slough through there that it's partly a ditch, but partly a slough that the water sheet flows through. And by cleaning it like this, we really make it a lot more efficient, and that's what this machine is really designed for. This is, let me go back one. Okay, this is where we're going at probably next. This is part of the Henderson Bayou around Galvez Farm subdivision, and this is a typical area that we're going to chip, how we're going to use it to go in the canals and make it more efficient without actually digging right now and going through the permit process. This is Henderson, part of Keystone subdivision, Henderson Bayou, and this is pretty much the size of the bayou throughout Henderson Basin right now. This is basically what it looks like. And this on the other side is where Keystone has actually done a good bit of their development and where the bridge is going. This is part of the Keystone development. This is the work they're doing for us. This is how it's going to look throughout that subdivision, hopefully. And once they complete that, if you see where it ends, we're going to take it from there and do a chipping operation now and go further up Henderson Bayou. This is part of Parker Bayou, which is right off Duval Road. It connects into just where we're looking at the on Henderson Bayou. We wanted this is one of our next jobs for the chipping machine to come through there and chip that what we call Parker Bayou, which is the beginning of Burat Ditch, and also partly, and some people call it the Wallace Acres Ditch. But we're going to do this, chip it through there all the way to the where Keystone left off, and then start coming up the other side of Galvez Farms and start coming up Burat Ditch a little bit and chip it as much as possible while we're waiting on the permits and the model from CDM to tell us what we need to do for us digging all of that area. But at least we'll have it cleaned of brush, make it more efficient until we're able to actually get in there and improve it as per the design and model that we're preparing right now, and the permit to get the permitting done. After that, of course, we had mentioned we're going to this is Muddy Creek, just I guess south of LA 42. We're looking at chipping all the other side of the bayou there and making it more efficient. This is going toward Henry Road. And this is another part of that same ditch as they approach Henry Road. You can see to the left, that's actually a ditch. And you see how much brush and debris and trees and is in there. But once we come through with the chipper, we better go down there and clean that a lot better. And as we're going through, I'll come back with you with pictures of how it looks after it was done. This is the Seven Oaks project. This is basically how it looked before we came in there on the far end of it. The Seven Oaks, again, is trying to improve the drainage in Seven Oaks through the railroad ditch to a crossing under the railroad. And this is a video. The pictures aren't too good in this camera shot. I think if I can run the video, you can see that's how it looks now. We just cleared most of the area. We tried to leave as many trees as possible as a barrier between the houses and railroad. But we completed the clearing part, and we're waiting for it to dry up a little bit until we get in there and remove the debris and begin digging the ditch, which hopefully we can get started on first of next week. This is a project that I guess, 80% complete with. This is Babin Cove. This is the largest part of the ditch. There was no ditch right there in the past. It was just a field ditch. We came through there and dug this. We have, since this picture was taken, we have the fence up, which is the pasture fence is completed. We have the covers out there. We're actually going to cover the biggest portion of the deep ditch so that we can have a swell on top of it that's equal throughout the length of the ditch. we thought it was unfair to put a ditch, to have a swell on both ends where people can maintain. We're defeating our purpose, actually. To put a swell on each end where people can maintain, but have a deep ditch in the middle where we'll have to come back and maintain ourselves, and it'd be hard to do. That's what we're trying to get out of. So to solve that problem, we're putting in shallow ditches, culverts, piping, and have a swell on top of the piping. So when you look at it, just about everybody will have the same amount of swell, and hopefully all the property owners can take care of their property. It's a little bit misleading right now because there's actually, to the left of the ditch, a fence, property fence through there, so right along the edge of the ditch. So if we don't provide a swell through there where the people can maintain it themselves, it would be difficult for us to get in and maintain it in the future. So that's our project. Hopefully we can start installing culverts within a week or so. This is a long-standing problem. This is LA 30, just south of the railroad tracks in Brittany. It's right next to the Parish DOTD barn, well, actually the DOTD Brittany barn. We're going to improve this ditch just going to the south of the railroad tracks, clean this out, and grade the ditch to put the ditch to grade. This is actually a little bit further down along the same area, same ditch. This is actually going along the DOTD barn. The ditch actually goes inside that, to the left of that hurricane fence, goes inside the barn, cuts off the corner of it, goes back out of the barn again, and goes into another piece of property before it crosses US 61. We're actually going to relocate the ditch along this fence line, take all these trees out, and that's going to be the primary routing for the ditch. This is what we're already doing on the west side of that ditch, of that railroad tracks. If you see the instrument at the bottom, the laser, then that's LA 30, just about LA 30 right there before it crosses the railroad track. There's a lot of problems going all the way up to the west, LA 30, going, I guess, a quarter of a mile or so to the west, and we've been having a lot of problems, a lot of drainage through that area, and hopefully when we complete this project, it can solve most of those problems. We have a few other things, putting some other piping under the road and under 30 and some other issues that we have to resolve, but basically this by itself is going to help that situation. Okay, this is the project. We've been having problems in Pelican Point, the greens of Pelican Point, but finally we're able to talk to get Mr. Pendarvis to allow us to come through his property. This is the backside of Pelican Point at the greens and Mr. Pendarvis' property. We're digging a ditch going down the backside of the property and also turning and going all the way to to a large ditch that comes out to LA 22 near the church, the Word of Life Church. This is going to help the greens area of Pelican Point. It's a long-standing problem, and because no drainage is ever established behind this, and this can benefit those people. Okay, I think that's all the pictures that I have. I do have a couple other things. We weren't able to get the pictures this week, and that's Marty Burak ditch at Abbey James Road going south. We have we've made an agreement with the landowners to position that ditch on the property line itself. Now, once we do that, we won't have any problem in keeping that ditch maintained in the future. That was the issue in the past. Part of the ditch is on one person's property, the first third, back third is on another person's. And but now if we put it down the center of the property line all the way, then there's no more issue for us maintaining, and we'll be able to go through there and do whatever we need to do. And at the same time we move it, we're going to enlarge it to the degree that we won't have to fool with it once we come up the Marty Burak ditch from Henderson Bayou and connect into it. So it should improve all of this once we connect everything together.
Mr. Lamont.
Mr. Barker.
Mr. Rue, I'm sorry to interrupt, but while we're on this particular item, do you have the right-of-way clear all the way up to 44? Remember we had that one problem?
We got that cleared through the problem area. It's clear up to 44. Once we put this ditch on the property line, then there's no more controversy and no more issues for us getting in and cleaning in the future.
Mr. Hillingsback?
Yeah, while we're on this subject, Bill, when do you anticipate you're going to get on that?
Well, the property owner, the main property owner, which has all the property on the west side of the ditch, has asked us if we could wait until about February. Number one is of course, the weather's hot right now to do good work through there. It's wet, but he planted ryegrass for his cattle, and he'd like for us to, if we could, wait until the first of the year before we go in there, because all of it will be torn up. And we agreed to, because the fact is we have recently cleaned that ditch, and we have enlarged it. It's open, so it's not restricting anything right now. It just the only thing really that this is going to do is going to improve it a little bit more, but mainly what they do is clear up all right-of-way issues and enable us to keep it that way, for forever after that, because we have a permanent servitude going through it. So that's the dates. It's around February is to go in there and actually make this change. The Peasant, what we call the Peasant ditch, it's off of Brittany Road in Sorrento. The survey is complete, and we scheduled to mobilize within 4 weeks to that site and establish a ditch that's going north of Brittany Road to a ditch just alongside of Sorrento Lumber Company. And what this is going to do is enable, keep all the water from the west side of Brittany Road from coming across into a problem area of Sorrento on the south side of Brittany Road. And it's a long-standing problem too. And once we're able to establish this, it should solve most of those problems right in that one little area.
Bill, that's the ditch from Brittany Tower Road?
No, it's actually from Brittany Street.
Okay.
To just behind it, goes under the railroad tracks and comes out right alongside of Sorrento Lumber Company, and goes from there into Bay Francois.
So I think
it gets into a pump
that ditch that comes from Brittany Tower Road, that big ditch that crosses right.
That's another ditch that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And also we of course had a few little problems in it, trying to get our procedures down pat, but we are working with the town of Sorrento on reviewing all of their drainage plans for all developments coming into the city. And we have just completed the first one, and this is going to be a long-standing, I wouldn't say obligation, but a benefit to the parish, because in the past they were arbitrarily given permission for developers to build in the city of, in the town of Sorrento without drainage coming to the drainage board for a review. We are involved now, so that should benefit them and us in that we can solve some problems before they cause us problems. Bulkhead, a rolling casing, that's a long-standing problem. That's a bulkhead that's beginning to fail. We are receiving quotes right now on that, and we also are looking at the legal aspects of going back on the contract when it was first built, and we'd rather not comment on anything else right now, but we are working on that with our attorney, Mr. Parrington. And at the next drainage board meeting, we would have, if it's something that we can go back on the contract, we will. If not, we'll have quotes for your review to get a contractor in there to fix that problem. And also what's handed out to you is the completed work orders over the last month, and some other descriptive of work that was done, and that is ongoing right now. And like always, I ask that if you have some questions on that, you reserve that until tomorrow and get back with us. We'd be glad to work with you on it and explain it to you. And that's all I have for my reports.
Mr. Scheckstein.
Bill, thank you very much for a good report. We appreciate it. My questions, I see y'all completed the ditch and behind the greens and everything. It's a good job and everything. My question was, this was a problem from the beginning. Did we identify what happened in the process that allowed them to develop that without having a ditch behind that area? Did we figure out what happened that caused that to slip through? Obviously, they needed a ditch there.
Right, and I couldn't answer that.
Could you please
I can
check and
on
see
it
where
and get more details on it.
We just don't want to have it happen again in the future.
And with our review process that we have now, I don't know if that was 100% in our review process at the time.
Yes, it was.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, again, I wasn't involved with it back then, so I have to check on it.
Can you check with Michael and see what evolved that they didn't think they needed a ditch there. I mean, I don't know what the deal was. I'd just like to find out what in the process had happened that allowed this to happen.
I'll find out for you and give a report back.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Mr. Bill? Mr. Dempsey.
Yeah, Bill, I guess this was CJ. The permitting on the Parker Bayou, how's that coming along? Did we?
We're going through the delineation process right now, and working, of course, with CDM on it too, because they're doing the model. So it's going to be a joint effort. But we're going through the delineation process, and that's already been tasked out, and it's going to take a little while to get that back.
Just a rough estimate on the date. When do you think you'll?
CJ, the Rappian is doing that, the delineation of Parker Bayou. It's going to be at least another month or more, before they finish delineation.
Real good report too, also, Bill. How far you going to go all the way up Marty Burat ditch with the chipper?
Just at designated areas where it's needed, where there's willow trees and there's other debris that's in it that this can bend all along the sides of it. We're trying to hit the heaviest sections of all our bayous right now, and then come back to the different localized areas of problems along each one of them. And that's why what we'll probably do is catch the main portion of what we just showed, the Parker Bayou, Henderson Bayou, around the Duval Road all the way to around Galwith Farms, then go to probably Muddy Creek and hit some of those big areas, and then come back and start hitting some local places.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Bill.
Any more questions? Mr. Bill. Okay, we're going to move on then to number 10, which is Bayou Boil, drainage basin elevation, GSA/DPW. Bill, you got that? Or
Yeah, do you have a copy of that? You pass it out? Okay, if you look at this is something that's been suggested, and actually GSA brought it to my attention, and GSA, to fill in a few blanks here, GSA, of course, is the engineer for the city of Gonzales. We have always had problems in the city of Gonzales, or all the cities up to now. We're starting to work close with them on developments within the city limits, because that was always a problem in the past. For some reason, they didn't go through our review agent, and we lost a little bit in cooperation and understanding what was going on. GSA is recommending and proposing that they be allowed to do a drainage analysis of the Boil Bayou drainage basin. Now, that is partly in the city of Gonzales and partly outside the city. It is a problem area that we have. Part of the reason for it is the fact that these new developments are coming in, and they have nothing to base their review of what should these developments do within the city, because we don't have any drainage analysis of that basin. So it's coming, they put together a proposal, and again, it's for a comprehensive drainage plan of the Boil Bayou area. And again, this is a good bit of it is in the city of Gonzales. There's a number of major developments coming along LA 30, which all feeds into Boil Bayou and Boil Drainage Basin, and we want to make sure as a drainage department that we're not allowing something to come in there that's causing a problem downstream. In their proposal, they're asking for, I think, I can move to the last page, $195,480.25 for the total proposal. Mr. Shaheen is here to answer questions if you need more explanation of how this came about and the purpose of it.
Mr. McConnell.
Well, I was just going to say, Mr. Chairman, if this group is working on one end of Bayou Boil within the city limits, it really doesn't make any sense to bring somebody else on board to work on the other end of Bayou Boil. It would be a lot more cost-effective and economical to have it all done at once. So I'd just like to offer a motion to adopt this as presented to us.
Got a motion by Mr. McConnell. Second by Mr. Adrian Thompson. Discussion, Mr. Shaker.
I think this is very much needed. We're in a situation where we're going to probably have the most substantial economic growth in the parish in this area, as far as dollar-wise. there's already a major drainage problem with the people along Hodgson Road as it comes through 44 and continues on. Well, this continues on through the Brittany area and connects there, but it goes all the way past the hospital and up to the interstate and where Cabela's is coming in. So I think this is something that should be done, very much so. Whether this is how much it's supposed to be or anything like that, I don't know. I would like to get URS to take a look at it, give us some advice as to this is relevant, this is what we should, how much we should spend, everything's in line. They give us a positive, let's go with it, let's move forward as quickly as possible at the next meeting. This is the first opportunity I had to to take a look at this. I don't know whether it's in line or not. These are the people that we look for advice, and so take a look at it, give us a go, and if so, let's move forward with it. I think it's a very good project that needs to be done. Just question is whether the numbers are in line. Let's move forward. So that's I would like to offer that as a substitute motion to wait and adopt this when we get a report.
I'll second that.
Whether that's in line.
Yeah, I got a substitute motion by Mr. Sheikh Snyder to wait to let URS evaluate it and come back with us at the next
meeting as soon as we can.
Seconded by Mrs. Otno. Discussion. Mr. McConnell?
Just question: is the work proceeding on the upper reach of Bayou Ball? Is it already starting? Would delaying this a month cause a problem?
No. I don't think we have that much going on with the upper regions.
No.
We would suggest that we...
Because I know the development on the upper end of Bayou Ball is happening right now. That's going on. So...
and we're reviewing some of the things that's going on with the upper end of Bayou Ball. But as far as the development within the city, we're involved with them along with Mr. Shaheen and reviewing a lot of things going on in the city limits. And I would suggest that we'll come back to the next Drainage Board meeting with a recommendation of DPW and based on review of URS as per the scope of work and the cost for that scope of work.
Mr. Sabo.
Yeah, let's talk about. I heard that the city of Gonzales it's in the city. Most of it's in the city of Gonzales, and they already brought on GSA to do the work and all that kind of stuff. What's their part?
Well, their part mainly is in the development. Mr. Shaheen can probably answer better than I on some of it, but a lot of it has to do with the development that's going on in there and the review of the development drainage plans. Much as our review agent, CSRS, reviews developments for the parish. So they're the review agent for the city, and that's their connection with this now. But they're having a hard time, and I can believe it, that because of the fact that it goes outside the city into the parish, you really need a drainage analysis of the whole basin with future plans of how you're going to relieve some of the problems that you have and how it ties into the city, so they can require the developers to do certain things. Certain types of detention ponds, maybe bigger than what they normally would put in, maybe additional drainage ditches and things like this, but without a comprehensive plan on what is our future projects for that area and what needs to be done within there. It's kind of has their hands tied somewhat because they're making judgment calls that may not be adequate if in fact our future plans is, say for instance, to dredge Boyle Bayou from Conway all the way up to a certain size. Maybe they allow the developers to release a certain amount of drainage. It might be more than if they would hold back on some of that drainage, then we may not have to dig the ditch as big or something like this. So in all cases, if you have a master plan to go by and a drainage analysis to go by, it makes it a lot easier to justify their requirements to the developers.
I like to have a better understanding on the city's part as far as what they're doing and the cost of this. It's costing them. Because we're talking about an engineering design here. That's basically what this is?
It's an analysis, drainage basin analysis of that basin. And
this analysis is costing us $200,000.
Right.
Okay.
But at the same time, it gives us a master plan, a comprehensive drainage plan for that whole basin, which includes where all of this water from the city is going.
I still want to go back to where's the city, what's the city doing?
And Mr. Shine, you probably
and
can
you don't need to answer that tonight. There's some questions that I'm needing answered. What's their part? I need to know have a better understanding on what's the city's part
and
in this Ball Basin project.
Right. And the only thing I can comment on that is the fact that the same thing that the city is going to say is that the drainage board is responsible for drainage within the city, the same as outside the city. So all drainage is equal. There's no boundary lines for drainage issues.
And I will agree to that.
And that's what they're going to say is that they don't mind telling or requiring developers to do a certain thing, but they need something to go by to tell them what to do.
Mr. Rue, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
I'm not going to argue that is our responsibility inside the city limits. So don't come tell me who I got to hire, because that's what's done tonight.
It's a proposal, and again, it's your pleasure, the drainage board pleasure to go to the next step.
Any more discussion? We got a substitute motion on the table. We'll move on first. Mr. Shake Snyder, second by Mrs. Fontenot, to come back at the next meeting. Evaluation from DPW and URS. Any objections? So moved. Move on to number 11, Prepare Lumber Company Bridge Endeavor Agreement, DPW.
Yes, sir. This is our standard agreement that was suggested by the Drainage Board, is to go into a cooperative endeavor agreement with landowners that has bridges. This is the bridge that's within the property of Prepare Lumber Company. It's a fairly large bridge crossing over Bayou Francois. The material cost is $17,383.41. Prepare Lumber Company wishes to give a check to us for that amount. In exchange for that, we will go in like we have done many a times and build a bridge, then turn it over to them for all future maintenance. And I ask that y'all agree with this.
Mr. Lamb? The only question is, do we do a rating system on this one like we've done in the past for all of them? I just want to stay consistent.
We did, and in fact, we didn't take it back to the Bridge Committee because it's a no-brainer. We have no, the parish is not using the bridge at all. It's totally a private bridge, and that's why we told that Mr. Prepare that the only thing that we could do is enter into this cooperative endeavor agreement, where he would pay the money to rebuild, and we will rebuild it, and then it's his bridge from thereafter.
Well, as long as we did that and stayed consistent like we do the rest, I'm fine.
It is of no benefit to the parish, only to the business.
So moved.
Got a motion by Mr. Shake Snyder. Second by Mr. Dempsey Lambert. More discussion? Any objections? So moved. We're on number 12, BKI Pumping Station Capacity Evaluation. We got somebody here from...
Yes, sir. And then I'm going to ask Mr. Picard with BKI to give a brief report or tell you what's going on with that analysis.
Good evening. We've been working on the calibration of the Marvinboro Pump Station model. If you'll remember, the model came from the Corps of Engineers, which was an update of the original BCG model. And we collected that model from the Corps. We also collected the U.S. Geological Service data from USGS for all the rainfall and stage data. When we started calibrating the model, we noticed there was a difference, significant difference, between what the elevations that the model projected on different stream elevations versus what was recorded on the USGS gauges. Those differences ranged anywhere from 2 to about 7 feet. We went back to USGS, contacted them regarding the data, expressing that we had concerns with the differences in the data. They went back and looked at their data and determined that they had sent us only the 30-minute readings on a 15-minute gauge, in essence giving us only half of the rainfall data. But because stage is always cumulative, they were giving us all of the stage data. So we took that data, went back into the model, and incorporated it, and that has dropped the differences down from 2 to 7 feet to about 5 feet in the worst case. It's generally a 1.5 foot difference between the model and the actual observed stages at USGS stations. We have gone back and reviewed the model with both the Corps and with URS, and we feel that the differences between the model and the stage data are too great to try and work them out. If there was about a 1 foot difference, we could alter the model slightly by changing the channel coefficients, etc., and make up for that 1 foot. But the 5 foot differential that we've got right now is too significant. We are in the process of getting a coordination meeting with USGS, the Corps, URS, the DPW, and Bert Kleinpeter to kind of sit down and try and figure out where the problem with the data is. We're not sure whether it's the model. We're not sure whether it's the USGS data. For example, there was some discussion of whether the calibration of the stage data was damaged during the Hurricane Katrina event, which happened about 3 weeks before the Hurricane Rita event that we're using to calibrate with. Rita was about a 8-inch rainfall within most of Ascension Parish. There was one gauge that recorded 13.5 inches, and it's a good storm for calibration. One of the concerns we've had and discussions was the amount of debris that was built up within the channels, and if we're trying to ascertain whether that debris had been removed prior to the storm. If that's the case, we'll probably need to use a different storm for calibration, because any artificial weir that was created by debris would not give you consistent modeling for future improvements. We've taken and looked at the data and tried to determine from a 2001 data set whether the data is in calibration, and for the most part within 0.2 of a foot what we see is a dry weather flow in the bayous, or about 0.2 difference from what we had dry weather flow just before the Hurricane Rita event. So it may not be just the gauges, it may be a combination of the model or gauges or both. But we've contacted USGS. They're reviewing their data again. We've contacted the Corps. They're looking at the model, and we're setting up a meeting to try and take and get the comparison on that handled. We hope to have this resolved by the middle of January so that we can go on to actually doing the improvement sections for the dredging and the pump station improvements, you know, projecting which would be the most economical, which is really the heart of the study. Using the model was the basis of what we were going to use our determinations. But we feel we've got a pretty good handle on it. Like I said, URS has gone through our modeling. They have no issues with what we've done. So it appears to be a data issue, or it could be the actual calibration, or it could be the actual model itself coming from the Corps. Remember, these models were the ones that were used to set up the DFIRM maps that the parish is now using for base flood elevation. So we're looking into the accuracy of the model. We're looking into the accuracy of the data. We're trying to determine which one is causing the inconsistency. Any questions?
So basically, we don't have anything right now.
We do not have any improvement schemes on Marvin Bro just yet. It's important to get the model issue situated first. And you know, we've gone through the questions with the Corps and confirmed that this is the BCG model, that they upgraded from steady state flow to unsteady flow. there was some question
that's why we
whether that
hired you
existed.
guys to take a look at it, to come back and give us an update and tell us what we need to do.
Excuse me?
That's why we are letting you. That's why we contract you guys to look at that model, where you can come back to this board and get this board an update. What direction we need to go in next, right?
Correct. That's what we're doing now. We're trying to determine what is the problem. Is it data, or is it model, or is it both? And we're in the process of doing that. Bear in mind, this was not a model that Burke Klein Peter created. We were, directed to use the model that the court modified and updated. And any inconsistency that was built into that, we're trying to debug now. Same way with the data. It's data that comes from USGS, which we're utilizing, and we're trying to determine. We've got both Mr. Arsenault with USGS looking through the data, and they're reviewing it to make sure it's consistent.
Mr. Scheck-Snyder.
What you're saying is that once you started the investigation into the plan, you found some inconsistencies in information that you needed.
Correct.
And so you're trying to straighten out trying to find the correct information so that you can give us the plan that would be more correct.
That is correct.
You can't use the model as it is now because it's inconsistent with what the figures you're coming up with.
We're not sure whether the error that's being generated is caused by the model or the error is caused by the rainfall and gauge data.
Yeah, it doesn't add up.
They're not matching.
Yeah,
correct. For example,
well, I appreciate you
where
checking
we
that.
anticipate a stage from the stage gauges of about, for example, at Bayou Francois, at the Upper Francois, the model predicts a 7.4 elevation, but the actual gauge reading was up at 12. So we've got right at a 4-foot differential there. Now, one thing we did do was we took, and to get the stage readings that the U.S. Geological Survey gave us in order to get, for example, the 12 here at this location, we had to put a 20-inch rainfall across the entire parish to get the water levels up that high. We didn't have that kind of storm for Rita. We double-checked the rain gauges against the National Weather Service locations. The 13.5, the 8.5 steady through most of the parish coincides with those data. So we feel we've got good handle on the rainfall data. What we don't feel we have a good handle on is the actual stage elevation and the model predictions.
How long is it going to take you to get all the information and get back with us with a report?
We're hoping to have that completed by middle of January, because we're trying to get the USGS to review their data. We've asked the Corps to review their data, and we're trying to set up a meeting in December to get all parties together and try and figure out where the disconnect is.
I think it's important that we get this done as quickly as possible, because, as you said, if there's any inconsistency, that will affect the DFIR map.
Correct.
That people are going by with their flood insurance and all, and that may very well have to change.
Correct.
If they're using those models. Am I correct? If the models change.
Correct. Because that was the model that used to generate the DFIR.
This may be one way to check whether a model has been.
Unfortunately, the Corps feels their model is accurate, and USGS feels their data is accurate.
Not that the Corps would ever make a mistake, but.
Well, not that anybody would ever make a mistake.
Okay, good. Just so the people get a chance to get it right.
Absolutely.
More discussion? Any questions? Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll move on to number 13, CDM report, Laurel Ridge Levy and Henderson Bayou report, CDM. I think got a couple representatives there. Mike's going to handle it.
Good evening. I'm going to give the update on the Laurel Ridge Levy. Our completion date for the project is approaching. I believe it's around December the 15th. So I wanted to give a overall update on the status and final findings, which we're preparing the memo now. We have also met with the DPW staff and URS last week, gave them the same update, and reviewed our findings as well. And we'll have our final submittal on or around December the 15th. Just to update, or just to give you an overall objective of the project, we had to identify, evaluate, and analyze a permittable and cost-effective levee route or flood control structure that provided residents protection from backwater events. So far, we've collected a significant amount of data, maps, aerials, wetland delineations, inventory maps, and also the FEMA flood advisory maps. We've had several meetings with the Corps on trying to find a route that is permittable, and based on that meeting, we have found a route that is permittable, and we have then broken that route down into 3 construction phases. We've performed a wetland delineation, a preliminary right-of-way survey evaluation along the route, mainly just the Phase 1 area. We performed a wetland delineation again, and also a limited geotechnical field investigation, and made field observations as well. In summary, based on the results of all of these, the good news, the subsurface soil conditions and groundwater conditions are extremely good for stability, seepage, and settlement. It's definitely not the same type of soil that they have in New Orleans. The challenges as we move forward are going to be, because the parish is growing so fast and rapidly, most of the data and maps that were collected in the past are either outdated or not accurate. Mostly, for example, some of the wetlands and right-of-way survey maps that we do have are not accurate because of the expansion and development in the parish. So we're updating those as we move forward and how that impacts the wetlands. Our next deliverable will be a preliminary analysis memorandum, which will summarize and collect all the data, and then present a scope and approach for a final design. And the main efforts in that will be a public outreach and communication program just to update the board, the parish, and the residents of the project, and also the permitting process, which, as you get deeper into it, you work out more of the details with the Army Corps of Engineers. So again, that's the status of it. It's moving along. I believe the completion date is on or around December the 15th, and we're on schedule for the Low Ridge Levee project. With that, any questions?
Any questions, Phil? Thank you.
Okay. Henderson Buyer report he's going to give out. Or we're going to.
I guess he wants me to give it as well. The Henderson Bayou project is on schedule. They are working on and updating the model, and I believe that deliverable is not until the end of December. And again, they have had meetings with the parish and URS, and when the findings of that model are updated, they'll have meetings with URS and the parish and then update the board. That's all for Henderson Bayou.
Appreciate it. Any questions? Deb?
So we're looking at January to find out the findings of the model.
I believe, yeah, the completion is end of December.
The completion date is December 29th, and
Okay.
I think what we will be doing is presenting to the board, URS, DPW, the findings of that, and then we'll update everybody, I guess, once we've turned in that draft final report, which is not final yet. At the end of the month, we expect to turn that into for review.
I was hoping for an early Christmas present here.
Well, we'll give you a sneak peek before that.
Appreciate it, my friend.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, to be more exact on that, we had discussed this at a meeting that we had, and when they finish this, URS and DPW are going to evaluate it, sit down, look at it, with CDM, and then which will take us through January, and we're probably looking at February coming back to the board with some with the full report.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Thompson.
I'm sorry I missed that report. I think they need to give it over.
Bill, just keep like Dempsey and myself that's in that area. That's Jerry, informed if y'all have some meetings beforehand. Any more questions? Thank y'all, guys. We'll move on to number 14, bulkheads at West Irma. Mr. Adrian Thompson.
Yes, Bill, what did we come up with that bulkhead that the city of Gonzales was requesting that we do on the west end of Irma?
Right, and this is behind the ballparks along Francois, and the suggestion was that a bulkhead be placed there. The city is willing to put up some money for material, for this bulkhead. In reviewing it, though, I've asked GSA to go a step further to give me information on as far as alternatives. What is the difference in cost between a steel bulkhead and a wood timber bulkhead? I like to know this because I like to bring back options to the board. You may want to consider going with steel. Let the city pay for the timber or the amount of a timber bulkhead, and possibly, again, it's up to you, pay for that difference and go with the steel so we don't have to worry about it again. And we could put it maybe a little bit more toward the future design of Francois, that area, just in case the Drainage Board looks at improving that area, that stretch, that the bulkhead would be to design standards and be complete. So we're looking at this, looking at the numbers, and hopefully we can bring this back to you at your next Drainage Board meeting.
Mr. Byron.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also, Mr. Rue, I thought we was going to look into feasibility of riprap along that particular section, especially because there may be some improvements at a later date.
And that's why we'll bring all the alternatives back to you. Riprap is just to stabilize the bank as it is now. The way I'm thinking about it is if we can get a participation by the city, at least for the cost of a timber bulkhead, and we can apply that to a steel bulkhead, I think we might be way ahead of the game if, in fact, we want to improve this stretch in later years.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a great idea.
I'll bring all the options back to you and let the board decide at the next meeting.
Oh, Bill, so the city, it's no timeline on this?
Not really.
The city expecting us to get it done fairly quick?
No, because GSA is working with us, and they're in contact with the mayor and with the city, telling them what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
Mr. McConnell.
Just for the record, I don't think there's any room for riprap over there. At that particular point where the erosion is, there's no room to place riprap because you don't have enough room for the slope to be able to put that and be effective. We talked about putting a bulkhead on that point, and there's plenty of room on the other side. If we come back in a future date and do some dredging and clearing and so forth, there's plenty of room on the other side. So a bulkhead right there wouldn't really make a difference. But I just don't think you can put the slope in. Also, I think this has been going on since the spring of last year. I gave you the plans on all of that, and I'm just disappointed. This is the third month in a row that it's been on the agenda, and we don't have a price yet. And I really would like to put some finality to this in the January Drainage Board.
And I've been talking as late as this afternoon with GSA, and the one estimate that came in for a timber bulkhead was done a month or two, or several months ago, and or even longer. And that estimate is no longer valid. It's been requested by the person submitting that estimate that it completely be redone. And so that's another reason why we didn't have anything. We had a quote for you, but we don't want to give it because he requests an update of that quote.
Okay. Well, it's time to put this one to bed and get it off the agenda. So I'd really like to see some finality in January. Thank you.
Any more questions on that? We'll move on to number 15, update on Panama Canal and Bayou Conway. Mr. Kent Shake Snyder.
Speaking of putting to bed, what's the latest?
The latest is, and this is Conway, Panama, and Frog Bay, but also includes parts of Manchac Bayou. As per the NRCS, they opened bids November 30th, and they are reviewing those bids right now, and they hopefully before the end of December they will award the contract, at which time they'll notify us as per the mobilization. Probably be the first of the year when they're mobilized, but they should award the bid before the end of the month.
Any more questions? Kent? It's good.
So, just whenever.
Waiting on them.
Move on to number 16, Chairman's Report. The only thing I have, we need to move our meeting from January to the second Monday, since January 1st is the first Monday. Got a motion by Mr. McConnell, second by Mr. Thompson. Any discussion? Any objection? So moved.
Everybody's on the roll call. That's what.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Valentine.
I probably should have interjected this back when Martin was giving his report, but it would fall under some direction from you. We probably do need, since we've advertised, to try and have some kind of ad hoc committee meeting, if you plan on that, Mr. McConnell, so that even if we have to have a special drainage board meeting, if we've advertised for 2 weeks and that was what y'all had put, yeah, we need to go ahead and get that finalized and try and get something. We got to have a special drainage board meeting. We probably need to do that.
Well,
and I know it's holiday time, but we're going to need to.
No, and it wasn't a matter of that, Mr. Valentine. I appreciate you bringing that up, because I did forget to say it. We discussed actually the possibility of doing an ad hoc committee meeting last week to discuss this. We had several free nights that were available, but it was kind of the general idea to if there was any additional direction from the drainage board, since the drainage board was coming up so quickly, right. Wait for tonight's meeting. If anybody had anything else to say, but yes, we're trying to schedule an ad hoc committee meeting for next week, and there will be adequate notice.
Thank you.
On that.
Mr. Chairman.
Executive committee. I'm
right,
sorry.
executive committee.
Executive.
Again, we put the date of December because of the 2-week request by the ad hoc the executive committee. The closing date for accepting resumes is the 7th, and what we're planning on doing, everything that came in would be in a sealed envelope going to the chairman of the executive committee. I'll probably get all of that by Thursday or Friday of this week to everybody, at which time we'll make copies and send it to the rest of the people of the executive committee to review over the weekend, and y'all can just schedule something after that.
Mr. Shexner?
Just for informational purposes, we didn't have a quorum for our strategic planning meeting last Monday, so it's been rescheduled to next Monday when we have an open date there at 6 o'clock. So that will be one night that it's going to be filled, and at that point we're going to be discussing the drainage ordinance and a few other major ordinances that we're trying to move on. So.
Yeah. Any more questions on that? We'll move on to number 17, election of officers, something we do every December.
I move to re-elect Mr. Todd Lambert as chairman, Mr. Adrian Thompson as vice chairman.
I second it.
Got a motion by Mr. McConnell, second by Mrs. Fontenot. Any discussion? Any objection? So moved.
Motion adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
By Mr. Barger. Second by Mr. Simpson Lambert to adjourn.
Yes, sir. Very good report. Very good.